The River Stour, at 57 miles long, is the second longest river in the county of Kent. Situated in the southeast corner of England, the river has witnessed some of the country's earliest history. From the arrival of the Romans, the Anglo-Saxons, St. Augustine bringing Christianity, and later the Norman invasion of 1066. The river has many tributaries, the two main ones being the East Stour and the Little Stour. For most of its journey, the river is known as the Great Stour, and its source is in the village of Lenham, 75 metres above sea level. It all begins in Glebe Pond. The pond takes the water runoff from the main streets of the village, as well as water from a number of local springs. The Great Stour leaves Glebe Pond in Lenham and makes its way winding southeast across the fields. At Little Chart, the river takes a turn to the south, where it travels through woodlands on its way to the town of Ashford. Victoria Park in Ashford. The fountain was created in 1862, but after a checkered history, was not placed in Ashford until 1912. The Great Stour flows across the park through what were once important watercress beds and now becomes an urban river. At Ashford Station, it turns north and enters the Queen Mother Park. Two rivers now run through the Queen Mother Park, the Great Stour on one side and the East Stour on the other. They are due to meet up and become one river. The village of Postling, lying on the plains below the North Downs. The East Stour begins as a multitude of small streams rising below the green sand ridge escarpments near to the village. The streams wander over the low-wheeled plain, eventually joining together to become the East Stour on its journey to Ashford. In the Queen Mother Park, the East Stour joins its neighbour at the Old Water Mill, built by Henry Pledge in 1901. The Great Stour now becomes a more substantial river as it travels through Wye towards Godmersham Park and the villages of Chilham and Chartham. From Chartham, the river crosses the Hambrook marshes on the way to the ancient city of Canterbury. As it arrives in Canterbury, the Great Stour splits into two, the North and the South Streams. The North Stream skirts around the north of the city, while the South Stream flows through the city's centre. The South Stream passes through Abbots Mill Gardens, the site of the old flour mill which was destroyed by fire in 1933. It flows on through a wooded area where it joins up again with the North Stream as it makes its way out of Canterbury. But the river divides again to pass through Surrey and Fordwich. Fordwich, officially the smallest town in England, has two bridges, one over each branch of the river. The river now becomes tidal and a haven for pleasure boats. From Fordwich, the Great Stour flows through the Westbere marshes and lakes, partly created by the flooding of ancient gravel pits. At Grove Ferry, the river passes under a bridge which now replaces the old wooden ferry, pulled across the river by means of the ferryman tugging on a length of rope. Then on to Pluckscutter, near to the village of Stourmouth. This was the old estuary of the river. Until medieval times, Thanet was an island cut off from mainland Kent by the Wonsum Channel. Over the centuries, this channel gradually silted up and was reclaimed for farmland. It is here that the Great Stour is joined by its second major tributary, the Little Stour. Lymonge is at one end of the Elim Valley and near to the seaport of Folkestone. A perpetual spring bubbles up below the ancient church of St Mary and St Ethelbert. In ancient times, the spring was the main source of water for the people living near to the church. The water collected in a reservoir at the base of the wellhouse. A pump was installed in the wellhouse for the convenience of the local people. The Nailbourne flows through the village and through the Elim Valley. At times, the river is not a river. Technically, it is a winterbourne, a river which only flows during the wet weather of winter and early spring. However, the Nailbourne doesn't obey the rules. In the summer, at the village of Elim, the river was there. Then, the other side of the bridge, it had disappeared. At Barham, it was dry. Then, at Bridge, it was back again, and flowing well under the main street. At Rickenborough, the Nailbourne changes its name to the Little Stour. The old watermill was built in the early 19th century. After passing through the mill, the Little Stour flows through the village on its way to Pluckscutter. At Pluckscutter, the Little Stour flows into the Great Stour, and together they now become the River Stour. And there is one other river that needs a mention, the River Wonsum, all that remains of the Wonsum Channel which divided the island of Thanet from the Kent mainland. It flows from a sluice on the Great Stour at Pluckscutter, crosses the A28 road at Sutter to end on the north side of the Wonsum Channel at Reculver, the site of a Roman fort and Saxon abbey. The River Stour flows on across the Minster marshes. The Roman fort of Richborough, built in AD 43, once overlooked the Wonsum Channel. The Roman ships were able to sail through the channel and dock at Richborough. Now the fort overlooks the River Stour as it makes its way across the marshes to the ancient Cinque Port of Sandwich. Sandwich is now nearly 2 miles from the sea, but until medieval times it was an important seaside port. The river is now on the final stretch of its journey. A very popular river for boat enthusiasts, it passes a host of moorings on its way to the estuary. The area is now a busy industrial and business complex. You can still see the remains of the secret First World War port and railway sidings, built to service military ferries taking troops to France. At the mouth of the river, a community of seals have lived on the river banks since at least the 1970s. The River Stour ends its wandering at Pegwell Bay, part of the Sandwich and Pegwell Bay Nature Reserve, an important wildlife habitat. A fitting end for a river which has sustained the life of plants, animals and birds on its 57-mile-long journey through East Kent.